Most people think belly fat is just the soft layer they can pinch between their fingers. The kind that spills over a waistband or makes them hesitate before posting a beach photo. But there's something far more dangerous lurking beneath the surface, something you can't see in the mirror or grab with your hands. It's called visceral fat, and unlike the subcutaneous fat sitting just under your skin, this hidden enemy wraps itself around your vital organs deep inside your abdomen, coiling around your liver, intestines, and even your heart. This isn't just inactive storage. Visceral fat behaves almost like a toxic organ, constantly pumping out inflammatory chemicals that have been directly linked to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and significantly shorter life expectancy. The truly frightening part is that someone can appear relatively lean on the outside while carrying a deadly amount of this fat internally, walking around completely unaware of the metabolic storm building inside them. My friend Dayton looked exactly like that. His arms were lean, his face carried no extra weight, and if you passed him on the street you'd never think twice about his health. But his stomach told a different story. It always seemed swollen and unnaturally tight, pressing against his shirts in a way that didn't match the rest of his frame. For years he brushed it off, assuming everyone carried a little extra around the middle. Then he decided to get a DEXA scan, and the results stopped him cold. His body fat percentage came back at 33%, with over 1,200 grams of visceral fat strangling his organs. That number was dramatically higher than average and shockingly worse than people who actually looked heavier than him. But here's where the story gets interesting, because visceral fat, as dangerous as it is, also happens to be one of the fastest types of fat to respond when you finally make the right changes. Within just a couple of months of adjusting his approach, Dayton's stomach visibly flattened, his waist tightened, and his follow-up scan revealed his visceral fat had been slashed nearly in half. Now most people operate under a simple assumption when it comes to belly fat. Eat too many calories and you gain fat. Eat fewer calories and you lose it. While that's partially true, research shows visceral fat doesn't play by the same rules as other fat. Certain foods actually encourage your body to store more fat deep in the abdomen, even when total calorie intake remains identical. One fascinating study put this theory to the test by taking healthy adults and deliberately overfeeding them with an extra 750 calories per day using muffins. Both groups consumed the same total calories and gained roughly the same amount of weight, but there was one critical difference. One group ate muffins made with polyunsaturated fats, the healthier fats you'd find in salmon, walnuts, and seeds. The other group ate muffins loaded with saturated fats, the type commonly found in butter, processed snacks, and fatty cuts of meat. After several weeks, the results became undeniable. The saturated fat group accumulated nearly twice as much visceral fat despite gaining the same total body weight, while the healthier fat group not only stored less dangerous belly fat but even gained a small amount of lean muscle mass in the process. This discovery completely reframes the conversation. It means two people can eat similar calories, weigh nearly the same on the scale, yet one person ends up storing significantly more life-threatening fat around their organs simply because of the type of fats they're consuming. When Dayton finally started tracking his meals honestly, the problem revealed itself immediately. One of his go-to dinners was a massive ribeye steak smothered in butter, which contained an enormous amount of saturated fat in a single sitting. When he added up his breakfast and lunch, he realized some days he was consuming more than double the recommended limit without even thinking about it. The solution wasn't about completely eliminating the foods he loved. Instead, we focused on creating balance. He still enjoys steak, just less frequently. He swapped some of those ribeye nights for leaner cuts like sirloin, added salmon and other fish into his weekly rotation, and started getting more of his fats from nuts, olive oil, and whole foods rather than processed convenience meals. Small adjustments that created a massive difference. Here's something else worth understanding. Some people are genetically predisposed to store more visceral fat than others, particularly individuals of Asian, Indian, and Hispanic descent. This means even if someone appears relatively thin by conventional standards, they could still be carrying dangerous levels of hidden fat wrapped around their internal organs. But this raises an important question. Are certain people truly genetically destined to store more visceral fat? Or have modern diets quietly weaponized this tendency and made the problem exponentially worse? Because once you start paying attention, you realize how many everyday foods are absolutely drowning in added sugar. Sweet coffee drinks, breakfast cereals marketed to kids, granola bars labeled as healthy snacks, flavored yogurt, fruit juice, condiments and sauces. Even foods that don't taste particularly sweet can contain shocking amounts of hidden sugar. One of the biggest offenders is bubble tea. Some large servings can pack over 50 grams of added sugar into a single cup, delivering more sugar than most desserts while being consumed casually like water. But the problem runs deeper than just calories. It's about how your body processes different types of sugar. Regular added sugar is made up of two molecules, glucose and fructose. Scientists wanted to know if one was more harmful for visceral fat accumulation. So they designed a controlled experiment. Participants drank beverages containing identical calories, with the only difference being the type of sugar. One group consumed glucose-sweetened drinks while the other drank fructose-sweetened beverages. After just 10 weeks, the fructose group experienced a significant increase in visceral belly fat, while the glucose group showed no such dangerous change. The fructose group also developed worse insulin sensitivity, meaning their bodies became less efficient at processing carbohydrates, a major red flag for future metabolic disease. Before anyone panics and swears off fruit forever, here's the critical distinction. Whole fruit does contain fructose naturally, but it also comes packaged with fiber, water, vitamins, and nutrients that slow digestion and make overconsumption incredibly difficult. The real villain is concentrated added sugars, especially high fructose corn syrup and processed sweeteners hiding in modern processed foods. This is where most people hit a wall. They try to eliminate every so-called bad food overnight, feel completely overwhelmed, and quit within a week. A far smarter strategy is substitution. Instead of only removing sugar, start replacing it with foods that naturally reduce hunger and actively support fat loss. Protein is one of the most powerful tools for exactly that. In one study, researchers simply asked participants to double their protein intake without any other strict rules. No forced calorie counting, no forbidden foods list. Yet over time, participants naturally began eating fewer calories without consciously trying because protein kept them satisfied for longer periods. By the end of the study, they had lost over 10 pounds, primarily from body fat, while visceral fat wasn't directly measured. This approach creates the perfect environment for reducing it through lower appetite, improved blood sugar control, and easier calorie management. The beauty is you don't need to survive on plain chicken breast and steamed broccoli to make this work. Small strategic swaps can completely transform your results. For example, one of the easiest habits to upgrade is sugary coffee. Many people dump flavored creamers and multiple spoonfuls of sugar into their morning coffee without realizing how quickly it compounds over weeks and months. Instead, you can blend a scoop of flavored protein powder with milk and use that as your creamer replacement. You get the same sweet taste, far more protein, and dramatically less sugar. Dayton had his own weakness, caramel popcorn. And honestly, it's hard to blame him because that stuff is dangerously addictive. Rather than banning popcorn entirely, we created a higher protein version using plain air-popped popcorn, protein powder, sugar-free syrup, and seasoning. The result delivered way less sugar, far more protein, and still satisfied the craving he was actually trying to fill. That's the fundamental mindset shift. Don't just remove foods you genuinely enjoy. Upgrade them into better versions. Because sustainable fat loss isn't built on suffering. It's built on creating habits you can actually maintain for the long term. But here's the most important thing to understand about all of this. Even if you dramatically improve your food quality, visceral fat will not disappear unless your body eventually enters a calorie deficit. The encouraging news is that visceral fat is often the very first type of fat your body starts burning once you begin consuming fewer calories than you expend. Which means the moment your nutrition, protein intake, and calorie balance start improving, your body immediately begins targeting the most dangerous fat hidden deep inside your abdomen. Now technically, yes, you could lose visceral fat while still eating junk food as long as you maintain a calorie deficit. But that's absolutely not the smartest approach. The quality of your food affects far more than just the number on the scale. It impacts your hunger levels, daily energy, workout recovery, blood sugar stability, and how sustainable your results actually are over months and years. Still, this is what makes visceral fat so fascinating from a physiological standpoint. Research consistently shows that even a relatively modest amount of weight loss can dramatically reduce it. In some cases, losing just 10 pounds has been shown to shrink visceral fat stores by nearly 30%. That's probably the closest thing we have to legitimate spot reduction. The challenge becomes figuring out how many calories your body personally needs, because there's no universal magic number that works for everyone. Some people lose fat steadily eating 2,300 calories daily. Others may need to go lower depending on their activity level, muscle mass, genetics, and total daily movement. That's exactly what Dayton discovered through consistent tracking. As he monitored his nutrition and progress week after week, it became obvious his body responded better at a slightly lower calorie intake. Once we made that adjustment, his waistline started transforming much faster. But diet is only half the equation. There's another strategy that has repeatedly been shown to reduce visceral fat even without dramatic weight loss, and that's exercise. Unfortunately, despite what social media influencers promise, you cannot directly burn belly fat by doing endless crunches or targeted ab workouts. That's simply not how fat loss works physiologically. But visceral fat behaves very differently than the stubborn subcutaneous fat sitting just under your skin. A comprehensive analysis published recently examined how different forms of cardiovascular exercise impact visceral fat reduction. While almost every form of exercise provided some benefit, two styles clearly stood out above the rest: moderate to high-intensity cardio and interval training. The reason comes down to stress hormones called catecholamines, which your body releases during harder exercise. In simple terms, when your heart rate climbs high enough and stays elevated, your body becomes far more willing to tap into visceral fat stores for immediate energy. Before you imagine exhausting workouts that leave you collapsed and gasping on the floor, relax. You don't need brutal professional athlete training sessions to see significant benefits once people simply pushed above roughly 75% of their maximum heart rate. That means challenging but completely manageable. You should be breathing hard, sweating noticeably, and unable to comfortably hold a full conversation, but not completely dying or dreading the experience. Even better, these workouts don't need to drag on forever. Just 15 to 25 minutes of interval cardio a few times per week can create measurable differences when done consistently over time. Here's a simple structure anyone can follow. Start with a 5-minute warm-up to prepare your body. Then go hard for 30 seconds, whether that's running, biking, rowing, or using the elliptical, whatever allows you to push your effort safely. After those 30 seconds, slow down and recover actively for about 90 seconds. Then repeat that cycle for 6 to 10 rounds total. Simple, efficient, and remarkably effective. Personally, I prefer sprinting outdoors when weather permits, but lower impact options like cycling or rowing are often easier to recover from, especially for beginners or anyone dealing with joint pain. But interval training does come with one important downside. It's genuinely demanding on your body and central nervous system. You can't realistically go all out every single day without eventually burning yourself out or risking injury. Interestingly, researchers found that total movement accumulated across the entire week may matter even more than exercise intensity alone. That's why walking is so criminally underrated. On your non-cardio days, aiming for at least 8,000 daily steps can quietly make a huge difference over weeks and months. It's easy on your joints, far easier to stay consistent with, and helps keep your body burning more energy throughout the day without destroying your recovery capacity. When you finally combine smarter food choices, higher protein intake, a moderate calorie deficit, strategic interval cardio, and consistent daily movement, that's when visceral fat starts dropping at a noticeably rapid pace. That's exactly what happened with Dayton. Within just a few weeks, his stomach became visibly flatter and tighter. His energy levels improved dramatically, and the numbers from his follow-up scans started moving in the right direction. That's the real goal here. Not just looking leaner in photos or fitting into smaller jeans, but actively reducing the dangerous fat most people never even realize they're carrying inside them. Because once you start losing visceral fat, you're not just changing how your body looks on the outside. You're improving your long-term health, energy levels, metabolic function, and overall quality of life simultaneously. The changes happening inside your body become just as important as anything you see in the mirror, and that's what makes this approach so powerful and sustainable.